Good afternoon, everyone who left after coffee break. I hope that the rest is not our clients. And, well, it's sorry, but we have some such jokes like this, but it's okay. Now we're talking seriously about us and our story, and after I forward Šarūnas the stage, and he will explain about how to become Nasdaq listed company or something like this. Actually, this is some info about us. It's me and my colleague Vytenis is here too. We have started too, and we was founders of that business. Actually, we have started on 2007, and nobody knows about that cremation. Actually, some knows funeral companies because they come to Riga for cremation, and it was very few cases to doing it. Now we are a big company with more than 100 shareholders, with 3 members on the board. And this is shareholders. You see the structure of the shareholders is different as we had before. And it's me and my family have 17%, something like this. And colleague have with the family 16. And the rest, as you see, have less as 5% of shares. It means that we have so many shareholders, but they don't have any dominated position. Well, the history was very interesting and strange because 2007 we don't have a regulation at all about this cremation business in Lithuania. And only in 2008 we get it, and was official regulation how to cremate and what to do. And we started this construction work only in 2010. And in 2011, we have a crematorium. And 2011 and November 25, we have done first cremation. Well, it looks very, you see this, our building, nice one. And it's specially designed by Lithuanian designers, and it's published in architectural websites, and it have, how to say, nominated
awards
for some
nominations.
Yes, and at this time was not designed a new one, but technology was very new too, and we presented like a high tech in Bologna. Because our colleagues, not colleagues, but the company who produced it, that cremation line, it's very, how to say, they used such new technologies, high tech, some special software to do that cremations more efficient and better way, on a better way as it was before. Well, we have some few good results because we looks like, and after the 1 year work, we get a gold medal like product of the year. You have something like this too in that Latvia. It sounds strange, actually. We always say, no, it's okay, it's not product, it's a service of the year, but okay. But we get it. And next year, in 2013, we have some nomination like Environmental Company of the Year. Actually, it is because we have a very good technology, and the air who comes out from the crematorium, it's fresher as it's around. Because we are in an industrial area, it's a little bit complicated, but okay. And every 1 year we have some sign. It's a special sign, I don't know in Latvian you have it, like strongest in Lithuania. It means that we belongs to some part of companies who have only, who is 3 or 5% only of all market share, who do the best and do everything clear. And as you know, we joined Nasdaq First North this year on May. And it was why we are here with Šarūnas, because he will explain it. And the last one, our achievement is Baltoji banga. It's like a white wave. It means that the companies who are doing business very clear and very ethical way, do everything right and very transparent, they can join this and get this sign to use it like a company who do it. This is some data, as I told before. The company K2 was established in 2008, and it's only first company who doing cremation in Lithuania, because we haven't crematorium at all in Lithuania, and we were the last country who didn't cremate it. Actually, it was problematic way to do it, because was, as I told us, was no regulations and so many bureaucracy, and now we are there, and we are growing very fast. And as you see, 3 last years, our results, we have started from 0, actually. Some few comes to Riga for cremation. Now, in 2012, we end the year with 1,423 cremations. And every next year, we grow near 30% by cremation rate. If we're talking about that average cremation in Europe, its average is about 55–60%. We have done some investigation. It means that social opinion, and we asked before we start the business, how many people like to be cremated, and we get the answer that its average is about 18% before we started. After the year, in 2013, we ask again, and we get that 35% would like to be cremated. And this year, 1 week or 2 weeks ago, I saw on a website, one biggest of Lithuanian websites, was like a no, not Delphi, Alpha. Okay. It was like a new investigation, just ask auditorium about that. Well, what do you think about it? And it was 63% that people like to be cremated. It means that if we're talking about this day, what we have right now, we have cremated till October, the same what was cremated in 2014. I think that we have a good perspective, we have a good growth, and actually the reason is that we have a very limited resource, it's land, place for cemeteries, and that position for government is very positive to that, and actually people like to choose it because it's very ethical, ecological, and economical way to be funeral. Our crematorium is located in a centrum of Lithuania, as you see there. It's mostly the same to come from Vilnius or Klaipėda or other cities. Actually, it's not so far from Kaunas, and not very far from Riga. But actually, we are cremating only Lithuanians or people who stay in Lithuania for some reasons, because Latvia and Riga have own crematorium too. Well, about business, almost 90% of deceased are brought by funeral service companies. We have contracts with them. Actually, we have contracts more as 2 years, majority of them. And if we talk about that market is about registered companies is about 250. We have close to 170, close or 180 at this day, I don't know, contracts. Well, equipment, as I say, we use German. It's KE 400. It's produced by IFZW. And our capacity to cremate is optimal. Per year it's 4,000 cremations, but if we are working on maximum regime, theoretically we can cremate 6,000 cremations per year. At the moment, as I told before, we are cremating 3,000 cremations per year. And we have reserve. But at the moment, right now, we're installing a next line because we have a specially prepared place for it. And now we're installing another one line, more efficient, more modern, And we expect that at New Year time or in January we will start cremation with the next one. Actually, talking about expansion, we have plans to go to Vilnius because it's the biggest area like Riga with the citizens, and it's quite far from Kėdainiai compared to other cities. And we see that potential to be there. And if will be demand. Sorry. We will go to Klaipėda. It's close to the sea, northwest. Well, our policy that when we come to Nasdaq, First North listing, this list, it was that we will pay dividends in the future too, not only for that period what was before. And all new shareholders get dividends, about 90% of our profit, and was paid for 2014 320,000 more euros. It means that in the future, our shareholders have permission from our side, as biggest shareholders, I say, because we're not very big. It's not like regular that some companies have some biggest shareholders who have 51% or more. We have only 33 together with my colleague. It means that less as possible to have like to do some big influence to our business or some decisions. Actually, we have an agreement with, before we come to that, okay. He's better speaking in English and tell about this story.
Okay, thank you. This was a very good introduction. I'm just going to maybe run through, kind of pick up where you left. The dividend point that Vytenis started to make is actually a pretty unique feature that we built in order to make sure that as many people as possible would invest into this into these shares, was that these two main shareholders have actually signed a shareholders agreement between themselves and between the company itself, which is also an open agreement into which everyone who owns at least one share of K2 LT can step into, under which the small shareholders that step into this agreement have really no obligations but have a right to demand, and these two gentlemen have an obligation to do several things and to refrain from doing several other things. So one thing that they have promised the market, and not just promised but also put their signatures on shareholders agreement, and that's very unique, is that they would vote positive for a certain dividend distribution for the next 5 years. And it's a fixed euro amount for, I think, 4 years. And then it's 90% of profits, of course, subject to all reasonable limitations, such as there being enough profit, there being no breach of loan documents, and so on and so forth. I mean, as they say in America, constitutions are not suicide pacts, so this is not a suicide pact. That's one thing. Second thing, they have promised to not sell their shares at least for until spring 2017, meaning that they will stay as a large shareholder. This was also taken very positively because, as you can see from the structure of the transaction, the offering was 4 million, of which 1 million was new shares and 3 million euros was old shares sold by the families of the two founders. So in order to align the interests of new shareholders and old, they had to promise that they would stay with the business at least for 2 years. Another thing that we did was that Vytenis promised to stay and work with the company as long as he was wanted. I mean, he can be fired, he just cannot resign. So it's a bit of a voluntary slavery, which the market apparently also liked. I think it's safe to say that the Nasdaq Vilnius team uses K2 as an example to show to some other bigger companies on the market how adults do corporate governance. And adults do it like this. We have 2 independent board members, like truly independent. You saw on the second slide, one is a wealth manager at Finasta, and the other is a director, CEO of an independent energy company. Neither of them have any business relations with the company. Only that I think Gediminas is a small shareholder, one of the board members, which I think is more of a good thing than a bad. Now, how this company ended up on the stock exchange, and just give me 5 minutes, I'll just run through, and I think this is more or less the last slide. We were initially, as an investment bank, M&A International Baltics, we do obviously M&A, and we were hired to sell the company because the shareholders felt that they have captured the developers' profit and that there would be good buyers abroad, and there were actually several very strong European players that we thought would be interested in it, and also we spoke to our alliance members abroad in the UK and in Spain, and they confirmed this, but the problem was that it turned out to be too complicated for people in London, let's say, to buy a single asset in Vilnius, and that would have been actually, if not the first, then one of the first foreign acquisitions for most of them. So we ended up chasing 3 very elusive bidders who were trying to decrease the price at every turn. So we got fed up with this project and decided to completely reinvent the way this company was being, so to say, exited. Also, I think we managed to persuade Vydas and Vytenis that they have yet to build more value in this company, because there's a lot of growth still remaining in it, and basically commit for another at least 2 years of working and staying with the company. And the whole thing actually continued. We had these 2 to 3 bidders still running around and thinking that they could buy this company on the cheap. But at the same time, we were already working on our plan to create this interesting structure where the company actually promises to pay dividends, and not through some sort of phony dividend policy, which a general meeting can just cancel, but an actual contract saying that we, as long as we are shareholders for X amount of years, will vote for X amount of dividends. That and the other features that I have already listed. And we tested the waters. We got actually a pretty cold reception from most institutional accounts, and I cannot blame them. This is a rather small deal. It's not liquid. It's actually not even on a proper, in their view, proper list. But I mean, it's unreasonable for a company that has 7 employees to start doing quarterly IFRS accounts. That's insane. And I think this is the optimal size and the optimal type of business, meaning capital heavy, staff light, that should and would have to go on the First North market. But we managed to place it with the help of Finasta and the Dominas partners, our lawyers who helped kind of put all these innovative ideas about corporate governance and dividends into a workable legal paper. We managed to have an order book filled by April, and actually, funny thing, we never told the Nasdaq, but there was a non-zero probability that one of these 3 bidders running around had the option of actually calling us on Friday and saying, okay, I'm taking this at 23.5 euros per share. And we would have called Solus and said, we're really sorry, we're not going to First North. But he didn't call on Friday, so we went on First North on Monday. And that's how it happened. The shares were sold for 23 euros per share. 1 million reached the company. That money is now being spent installing the new line at the Kėdainiai facility. The company is looking, actually has already several plots under consideration in Vilnius, and we look forward to see the company grow and expand, and provide the Lithuanian people with a clean, nice, civilized way to take care of their loved ones. Oh, not the last slide. I'm sorry.
That's okay, but you can continue.
Well, I can. This is just an illustration of what you said about the growth. The company actually has an investor calendar, so very professional corporate citizen. So what they will publish is semi-annual and annual accounts and quarterly cremation data. This is monthly cremation data, so we will have to publish it on the Nasdaq website. It's the law. So you see, there's been growth, and you can it's getting pretty obvious that the company is going to hit its capacity pretty soon, and that's why you need the second line ASAP. For example, last year the company was operating 3 shifts, no stop, between Christmas and Orthodox Christmas. So people don't die evenly throughout the year. I mean, the things we learned during this transaction, you can imagine the sort of jokes that would travel around our company, but I'm not going to go there.
You can use it for marketing.
Let's maybe not use them for marketing. But there is, of course, due to weather, due to people not feeling the same way all the time, and some, I don't know, maybe people drink too much and do stupid things during the holidays and die.
It's okay, you can go to this.
And yeah, these are the published financials. I think they're pretty explanatory. The company is generating a very nice margin, and is very cash generative, therefore able to pay large dividends. We had some prepared questions from the participants. So
I have questions from the audience.
okay.
Unless somebody wants to ask a question.
Because this
Okay,
question
I have
time now.
questions, yeah.
Two short questions. What was the type of finance for construction for first crematorium? What will be the next one? I mean, type of financing. It's loan or it's shareholder capital? And what is the main idea of such high payout ratio in dividends?
Maybe you can answer the first half of the question, and I will answer the second.
It's okay, we can stay together because it's 2 microphones.
Okay.
And well, actually we have started, as you remember, in 2007, yeah, and nobody believed it. And we have looked for, first of all, we look for the place where we can build such building and do it. And after that, when we started, actually crisis comes, because it was 2008. And well, we had talk with all banks, all financial institutions, and actually we invest ourselves, our money too. And it was construction like it is officially, like a 30, 50, 70. And we put our money. Actually, when we start everything, was a problem that crisis comes, and the bank say, okay, you know, and everything was started, and everything was ordered. We have prepayment for all this equipment, and we have no possibility just go to the hedge fund and ask for very expensive money, and we started it, and we done it. And when we done it, and we start cremation and show our results, after the year we come back to the bank, and bank say, okay, let's start business, because everything looks like it's okay. Because before they say, you know, it means come back before they finished this agreement. They say, okay, now if it will be the 5th crematorium, maybe can do something, we can understand it. I say, sorry, because I am a businessman, I will invest only in the 1st crematorium, not to the 5th at all. And after that, we come back to the bank and we have refinance all our loans, all this infrastructure with hedge funds. And now we have some loan to the bank. And actually, after this shares
issue,
yeah, we get an extra money and we invest it into the 2nd line. And actually, we are thinking about that when we will start dealing with the Vilnius crematorium. We will make a decision to ask investors to come to the money back, or we'll go to the bank, because banks calling every one day just ask to come to drink tea or coffee and just talk about it. And well, and second question.
Just to illustrate Vytenis' point, at the end of 2014, the net debt of the company was on 970,000 euros. If you remember, the share issue was 1 million new equity. So the company, immediately after the share issue, was in a net cash position. So it had virtually no debt. Of course, then it paid out a dividend, and then it has borrowed a bit more from DNB to build to partially finance the construction of the new line. Now, to answer your question, whether it makes sense for, if you're expanding and you need to spend all that capex, does it make sense to pay all those dividends? Of course, it doesn't. But it's more or less. We thought that was the sort of the entry ticket to get the investors to believe and to put their trust into this company, because there's so many companies on the stock exchange that say, I mean, we're so promising, we're a fantastic business, but then for 5 years you see no cash flow from them. Although they generate cash flow, but they either invest it back, which is fine. I mean, in most cases it is fine.
Actually, it's a problematic was when we come to that market, we have to say, oh, we are cremation business, yeah, and how it's nice to come to there. Some people are afraid of that. And some banks actually, when we start to talk of that, say, okay, we don't know, maybe it's not ethical for us to finance this. You say, what's the problem? You are born and you will die. It's normal. Why you live forever? But after that, they say, okay, maybe.
Did that answer your question?
There is one more question.
One more question.
Yes. Why you decided to go IPO, not issuing some bonds, so you could still be the major shareholders in this?
I can answer that. It's one thing. I mean, we were hired to sell the company, so the people, the two founders wanted to decrease their shareholding in the company. So that's one thing. It's actually a combination of factors. Second factor is a bit more tricky and has to do with the business model and why this company is so profitable and valuable. And that is because it has no competition in Lithuania. And we hope to keep it that way. And in order to discourage potential entrants, you cannot have a two-levered balance sheet. You need to have the capacity to quickly build new, you have to have the financial capacity to quickly build new physical capacity. You have to have a financial capacity to act as a deterrent via, a silent but still ever-present threat of a price war. If you hear somebody's bringing around a business plan to build a crematorium somewhere, you can more or less kill that idea by just saying that our cremations are going to be 20% cheaper. So more or less, you cannot afford that if you are too levered. So a strong balance sheet is a strategic asset. The company is going to keep it that way.
Okay, and do you have more questions? Okay, we have.
When you plan to be Vilnius, in which year approximately?
Forward-looking statements. I mean, as soon as the proper land plot is found and...
as soon as possible.
as soon as possible. But there's no firm deadline. There's no firm timetable. We cannot say anything definitive at this moment. But what you can say is probably that you are looking for a land plot.
Yes,
it has been said publicly.
Yes, we have said publicly. We have some few.
Don't say more.
Okay. Sorry, because we have regulations of
yes.
Nasdaq.
And you have a certified advisor telling you to shut up when to shut up.
Why I'm just forward the question to him.
Very good.
Okay, a very last question. Are there any religious constraints of Lithuanians in Lithuania about being cremated?
Well, it's not a problem because actually that in 1962 by Vatican was published some
legal opinion.
Legal opinion that Rome Catholic Church is not, how to say?
Against.
Against, yeah. To burn by not body but ashes too. It means that before we started, we visited our bishops, and actually in this area where Kėdainiai is in Kaunas, and we talk about it, and he said no problem because it's official data, no official regulations, and we can write for you some letter, and you will know about it. Because when we started, so many questions was like this, and people ask, is it possible or no? I asked them, it's okay. Poland is very Catholic country; they are cremated. Italian very Catholic country too. And they cremated 50%, something like this. What's the problem in Lithuania?
Actually, I would just add two more things.
Yes, sure.
You know, there's a book that priests use to, you know, so a procedure book for all sorts of rituals, and there's a separate page on what to say and what to do at what point during a burial, which involves a cremation. So that's one thing. Second thing, the burial home of the Vilnius bishopric is actually one of the best customers, yes, or the, let's say, business partners that, I mean, there are no other words to describe these things, but
no questions.
Their customers bring to cremate to our crematorium, yes.
Okay, so now, yes, I think now we need to stop.
No, there was, I think, one more question over there.
Yeah, but we need to be short because we have like 10 minutes.
Yeah, I originally belong to India, and India is a very large market for cremation. And in fact, they are very much short on the crematorium. Often on most crematoriums, there is a long queue. People have to wait several hours before they find a place to cremate. Mm-hmm. So don't you find to explore such markets for you?
Well, about India. Well, I don't know. I mean, it's for you to say, but I haven't heard him discussing India with anyone.
Actually, we can invest to India. It's no problem. I know that it's well, it's a joke again, but sorry. But when we started to this, but we say okay because when we come to that place to invest, you know, we go to that industrial area, new built industrial area. And we take a part in some auction to buy this, not to buy, to have a possibility to do something. And when we come there, and was regulation that we should invest such money, we should employ such many persons, and some other things. And after that, we say, okay, we have very modern crematorium. We can manage everything with 2 persons all, you know. Of course, we can take 10 or 12 or 20 persons more, but actually we will cremate like in India, with some wood, you know, very scientific way. Well.
Now there are electric and gas crematoriums also.
Yes, I know.
Plenty of them. Yeah.
Yes. But it's most popular way to honor wood.
Yeah, but now people are discouraging that.
Okay.
Because of pollution and. Yeah. Actually,
we have very strict regulations for pollution, and why we should have, why we invested so much to that. Sorry, but Riga's crematorium don't have it, and it's regulation by EU, and until next year or 2017, it's how to say, everyone should have it this special requirement to reach this requirements, and we did it. It wasn't possible to start it.